afternoon here. It's Dave Moerman with Revive Washing, and today we're doing episode number 2 of our interviews here. I've got Esther Moerman from Esther Moerman Photography on the line. Esther, how's your day going? Yeah, no, for sure, Esther. Great to have you on, and I'll just make sure this is rolling live on Facebook as well. Perfect. That is going. We will get this shared out here. Just bear with me. Okay, perfect. Got that shared. Good to go. So, yeah, I wanted to have you on here, Esther. Last week we had a local realtor on Austin with Austin McFarland Real Estate, and so I wanted to get you on here and hear a little bit more about your business. I've started this new plan with Revive where I'm going to have different service business owners on over the next coming months, and we're going to kind of talk about your business and hear a little bit more what you're up to. I have a big heart and a lot of passion for fellow local service business owners. So if you fall into that category, I'd love to talk to you. And I figured, seeing our relation as siblings, it'd be great to have you near the top of our list. Yeah, so Esther, tell us a little bit about Esther Moerman Photography, or EMP as it's told. When did you start it up, and tell us a little bit about what it was like getting started back in the day.
But so 4 years ago, I thought, you know what, I have dreamed of being a wedding photographer, but didn't think it was a very attainable or realistic goal. And then, I don't know, I thought, what the heck, let's try take a chance here. And so right away, I started telling everyone my big idea. I'm gonna start a photography company. And to be honest, I didn't get the responses that I was expecting. I was expecting everyone to be just as pumped as me. So some of the responses I got was like, "Ooh, that's a little bit of a risky move to make," or "That's a really expensive hobby," or "Oh, it's one of your career phases again," which I was going through a lot of phases. I put down a lot of deposits of different programs and had a bunch of phases. So I think again, it kind of seemed like the boy who cried wolf of another phase here. But so I had to just think on that and play on that of if this is a move that I truly want to make and it's a dream that I want to pursue. And yeah, it turned out that it was on my heart to do that. So I just dove right in.
So you had a number of different ventures. You're saying different courses you were exploring. Can you tell me a little bit about that? How did you arrive at photography? What were some of those steps?
Yeah. So again, I started out with wanting to do nursing. I registered for a dental assistant program. I registered for a unit clerk program. I was into sales for a bit. I had a Skype interview with another sales company. So again, through all of those things, and then I thought, you know what, maybe I just need a safe job. I need something that will pay the bills and something that's kind of a 9 to 5 type job. But then I thought, you know what, I don't want to be in something that's just a typical job. I want something that lights my heart on fire, and I want to go and do that. So that's when I kind of arrived at the thought of doing photography, and I started doing a lot of research into wedding photography in specific because for one, I love people, I love weddings, and I like taking pictures. So I thought those 3 things right there seemed like a pretty good idea to get in on this. And so I started watching a lot of YouTube tutorials. I started trying to look for mentors. So a few of those mentors I'll shout out would be Mo Photography, Terrence Dare, and then Dennis at Free Exposure Photography. So those were some of my early mentors that really got me hyped and excited about this fact. And I still remember to this day sitting down at my first mentor session with Dennis at 3 Exposure, and he said, your excitement right now that you have will carry the success of your business. And I have definitely seen that to be true.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it sounds like you found some early mentors pretty early on that could kind of, point you in the right direction. Can you speak to, maybe you mentioned YouTube? I know from my own learning with Revive, it's been fantastic what is available online to learn. Aside from mentors, in person, what kind of avenues have you went about for learning online? You say YouTube, like where would you even start to type something in on YouTube to learn?
Yeah, so again, I right away was like, you know what, I don't know a thing about the technical side of photography. So then I started looking up tips of how to shoot with this camera that I just bought, this Canon 5D Mark II. I thought, let's figure out how this thing works. So I started watching tutorials on people teaching how to get the most use out of that body that I had just purchased. So watching a lot of those of teaching you like how to shoot manual and how to have it recording on 2 slots, and lots of technical things that I had not a clue about. So this was a whole new learning experience for me, and I was really excited for the challenge of just learning a brand new skill. So that was the first thing. Secondly, not only do you need to be good technically, but you need to know how to market yourself. And that was something that, again, was brand new to me. So I started looking up, as a photographer, like marketing strategies. And there was so many videos and modules and whatnot of just basic tips for marketing yourself online. And in this day and age, social media is huge for getting your name out there. And I was able to grow my Instagram in specific a lot. So
yeah, I hear from friends of mine, they mention, oh, your sister's Instagram, and it's really amazing what you're doing on that platform. You have quite a following now. I think one of my friends was saying you have over, I think, 10,000 followers now. Is that right?
11, but who's counting? Yeah.
11, but who's counting? That's amazing outreach, because I mean, if you can be posting posts on Instagram or stories, which are, linking to your blog or your YouTube channel, they all kind of work together, in unison. You mentioned the marketing, though. I find that one really fascinating, because I find one of my favorite business books is The E-Myth. And so what Michael Gerber says is that, we're suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. So we think, oh, I'm good at shooting photos, I should start my own business. But there's actually a whole nother realm behind the actual thing, be it if you're fixing cars or you're painting houses or you're shooting photos, you're actually running the business, marketing the business is a whole different animal. And it sounds to me like you've really taken a liking to the marketing aspect. How did that start? Is that just ingrained in you, or is it you're learning it, or how do you get your phone to ring, I guess?
Yeah, to be honest, just to give you a quick tire pump here actually, was I was honestly inspired by learning the marketing strategies from you. So I know that's definitely an area where you're passionate about, and you've run a couple companies before. So I know that you pushed that into my head early on when I said I'm going to start this up, and you said, great, learn the camera aspect, but the marketing is also where it's going to be really key. So that kind of lit a spark in me that I'm like, you know what, yeah, I got to tackle this. And that's when I started looking up all those YouTube tutorials and whatnot, and also just Google searching and finding different platforms of how to really grow your Instagram. And to be honest, it's time. You get what you put in. So I was spending a lot of time on there. The little iPhone reports of how long you were on there were a little bit scary around that time, but you got to do what you got to do. And I knew I wanted to grow the business bigger. So if that required spending a lot of time on social media, that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, and I think the digital age too, if you can be a master on, even one social channel, be it Instagram or Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is, I think, I think you're really just building a snowball here that if you're doing good work and marketing yourself, the word is going to get out at some point, which will turn into more business and will just keep compounding. So how old did you say your brand is now? A few years old?
Yeah, 4 years old.
You're 4 years old.
4 years old, and I've noticed the most growth actually of this year, like the most inquiries for 2020. So to be honest, the first year starting up was quite discouraging, to be honest, and that's where I was saying, you know what, like this isn't working. My photos are nowhere near as good as the professionals that I'm seeing online, and that was really discouraging for me. And I just thought, there's no way that, like, I hit a low point for a while, and then my sister really snapped me out of that and was like, no, you keep going, you keep learning about this. So she was absolutely right to just keep going after that and learn how to get to that level that I was seeing online. And again, it's same thing as marketing about the time. Is the more time I spent shooting, obviously the better my images got, and then suddenly more clientele start pouring in of, wow, I would love to have you do a shoot for me someday. And probably 80% of my leads come from Instagram, which is really interesting.
Wow. Well, your work, Esther, really is fantastic. I know I'll speak from our perspective at Revive. We've hired you multiple times, and you know, our team loves when you come in to do our photo shoots, and you know, whatever the bill is we're paying you, we get so much work more in incoming business. We use your photos of our technicians for our recruiting ads, and so you really make our team look like a bunch of models. And we kind of joke about it, but it's if you're running a home service business out there or any kind of small, you know, business, you need that content. And I find you know, you mentioned I know what I'm doing with marketing. Thank you for that. But I think a lot of it is having good content to be able to push out there into the world, whichever social channel you like. As I said, your recruiting ads, you need content on your website. You really need that constant fresh photos, coming in on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And not only just having photos, but having that extra level of really good quality ones. Because when I see stuff that's posted online that's just like a blurry or a random iPhone photo or something from different businesses, it automatically just puts it into your mind like, oh, they must be starting up or not very professional company or something like that. And then if your eye's drawn to a nice, sharp, edited photo, it's like, wow, that is an awesome photo. So I think you're totally right there on having good content.
Yeah, the images are everything. I mean, it's projecting your brand and how professional you are, and a client, you know, gets a lot of perception from the brand on, you know, the photos is just a photo, but it's really speaking to what the brand stands for. So good point on that. I'm going to get to some of our comments here. We got a few comments chiming in. First one is from lovely Alex here, asks Esther, what are your favorite things to photograph? Is it weddings, portraits, newborns? You know, you've done some corporate shoots as well. Tell us what's kind of your scope of service here.
Yeah, so I think I found out quite early on into this photography journey that I don't like taking pictures of everything. Not everything really excites me. So I would say my favorite absolutely is just couples in general. So yeah, whether that's a lifestyle shoot where they've been dating for a month or I'm capturing their big day of their wedding, I would say just in that general niche is really where I get excited. And I also noticed how the couples who come into it just like, oh, we've never had photos done, or we're a little bit awkward together, that kind of thing. I like those kind of challenges too, where I'm like, no, I'm going to make you guys look like superstars. And by the end of it, when I deliver that gallery, seeing their response just like gets me so pumped and reminds me why I'm doing this. So don't get me wrong, I love getting hired for other shoots as well when it comes to lifestyles or corporate shoots or whatnot. But what my absolute jam is definitely couples.
So that's really your ideal client you're after, is more couple photo shoots.
Yeah, couple photo shoots, and also not only couples, but couples who are giving me 100% of their trust to anything that I'm kind of suggesting or prompting, and they are just like, you know what, you go for it. And a great example of that was the wedding in Mexico with Austin and Carly and said
Yeah.
right there. I remember both of them on their wedding day when I was saying, like, you know what, if there's any prompts I missed or that kind of thing, and both of them said, you're the boss for the day, you tell us what to do and we'll do it. And that really was able to let me bring my creative side out and let me do my thing.
Yeah, those really are your ideal clients, who give you the reins. At Esther, you're the professional. You tell us what to do. We're at your service type of thing. And, I've been in a few photo shoots now with my company that you've done. And I think that's something you do very well is when that camera is behind you, when you're behind the camera, you're very highly directive and you're telling the people, do this pose, do that pose, go over here. I've done some other shoots with other photographers that, they're not as directive, and I think photos can be a little bit of an awkward thing for people. People get very shy and, they get maybe self-conscious. And so I think you do a really good job in bringing those barriers down. How can we make this fun? How can it be not awkward? And how can you deliver like a really good experience?
Yeah, no, definitely. And whenever I go to take photos of your crew members, no matter which ones I'm taking photos of, they are all such good sports, and they honestly just seem like they enjoy it. They are, Esther, what do you want me to do now? And I'm just telling them, I'm like, if you're not comfortable with a certain pose or whatnot, or going over here, like, just let me know. And they said, nope, you let us know. So I'm just able to direct your crew so freely, and they have a good time, which is awesome. So that's always fun shooting your crews.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's funny, Andre just came in the office here. I was giving him the thumbs up, so he's
one of our star models.
One of our star models, you got it. A couple other questions here. We kind of touched on it, but Julia's asking here, Esther, how do you bring shy clients out of their shell? Do you have any further comments on responding to that one?
Yeah, so I think what is big for this one is just for me to make sure I'm giving them a heads up before launching into a full session of, I have a quick little powwow with them when we meet up, and I'm like, you know what, guys, don't feel like you're going to be awkward or that kind of thing. Honestly, just be yourselves is my first piece of advice to them. And secondly, I'm going to be prompting you guys, guiding you through it. I'm obviously not expecting you to know exactly what to do during it. So that's what I'm here for. I'm giving them the prompts. And the last one is definitely a big one, is music. I bring a little mini boom box with me to all my sessions. It's got a little clip to go onto my camera backpack. And that one, I'll crank on some music. I know what kind of music is their favorite, whether that's country or pop or whatever, and I'll just start cranking it, whether we're in public or private. I don't care. I want to bring them out of their shells. So that's where the music, I find, really has people cut loose and be able to capture their true personalities.
That's such a good idea. I think the music, I've never heard of that before. I never heard of a photographer doing that before. I didn't even know you did that. So that's a really key innovation. I like that.
Thank you.
Couple more questions here. Ben asks, how can professional headshots help advance one's career? Great question from Ben. Do you have any thoughts with that? I'd imagine you're taking headshots for, LinkedIn, or can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, so I've definitely done some headshots in the past. I wouldn't say it's something that I market very often, but I do have a fair amount of people reaching out to have headshots done. So I really do like this question, Ben. And I would say, again, it's about advertising not only yourself, but what you are all about. So I think having like a really crisp headshot, again, people are just drawn with their eye right away instead of just having a normal picture or whatnot. Having a professional headshot is really going to help you go further. And I know that just from scrolling through LinkedIn myself and seeing those people that have a really sharp professional photo of like, wow, that person is going places. You can just tell automatically. So I think you can also touch on this one as well, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think on LinkedIn, anyways, you want to have that good first impression. There's a lot of people there looking for opportunities, whether it's networking or future employment or employees. And I think if you can, from a business owner, convey your brand with high quality photos, that's one thing. But also you personally, for interacting with other service businesses. For me, example, I want to be looking professional for other business owners, for property managers, for other opportunities that are out there. So, I know, Esther, I don't know your prices recently, but I think, it'd be pretty affordable for you to do a headshot session to give someone a few images, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely. So majority of people are not looking for a full 1 hour lifestyle session, which is one of the packages that I offer. So majority of people aren't looking for that when it comes to headshots. So for me, I give 10 edited high definition images, totally yours to use, $150, and that's a steal of a deal for getting some great content. So and I'll help you with kind of the posing and whatnot too, and we'll get you a little bit of variety within those 10 images. So
yeah, that's great. No one needs 100 pictures of themselves, so I think that's really good. Yeah, and a few other things to touch on here as we start to wind down.
Yeah.
What do you find, Esther, is the most rewarding part of your career? What you're doing here? What is it that you really love about it?
Yeah, that's such a fantastic question. So I'd have to be torn between two things. First one being the most rewarding part is getting to be a part of all of the emotions and excitement, getting to be a part of that firsthand when shooting a wedding. Because again, the person you spend the most time with is typically your photographer on your wedding day. So getting to be a part of that is such a rewarding part for me. And honestly, like I join in right away with the like I've caught myself shedding a tear on the brides coming down the aisle. I've caught myself just getting like all pumped when they finally see each other, or getting caught up in the excitement of the girls shrieking the morning of. So I think that in just getting to be a part of that so many times is really special for me. So that's one aspect. And the second one would have to be client reactions upon delivery of a gallery. I get so excited when I finally hit publish on that gallery and send it off, and I know I'm going to get like an awesome response. So I eagerly await that, and once I receive that, I'm like, all right, this is awesome. And yeah, that's definitely the second part of the most rewarding part of doing this.
Yeah, it's funny you say emotions on a wedding day and shedding a tear. I was going to joke that I can relate to that as much as anyone. I was a bit of a mess, and the photos captured that as well. So it's kind of funny to go back in time a couple of years.
Oh, definitely. You didn't just shed a tear. You were absolute wreck.
It was a waterworks. That's right. It was a slip and slide, I heard.
Yeah, well, I mean, your bride was quite something. So
she sure is. One other question from Ben. He must be in quarantine. He's got a lot of questions here. He goes, Esther, what's your philosophy for editing photos, and how do you avoid over editing? I think a lot of people, to the average person would think, oh, don't you just slide that scale on Instagram for more saturation or this or that, where I'm sure there's a lot more to it. So can you maybe touch on Ben's question a bit about editing?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good question, because that was one of my challenges early on in the career, was figuring out my editing style. I'm sure, Dave, as you know, and I'm sure as our listeners know, when scrolling through Instagram and seeing different professional photographers posting, or their clients posting their work, you notice a big variety in colors and whatnot, and you're thinking, oh, I didn't know that a tree was that color, or I didn't know that yeah, it could be that dark on a sunny day, So there's certain things that never really jumped out to me before I got into photography. And now that I'm into it, I'm seeing, like early on already, I was seeing, wow, I can really like edit the crap out of a photo and make them look like nothing like they are. So what I do, Ben, to avoid over editing, so I appreciate this question, is earlier on to my career, I thought more editing, the more professional I look. And now since I've gotten into that, I've learned that more is less. So when I go into Lightroom and I go to edit your photos, I want it to still capture what that day looks like. So if it's a nice, bright, sunny day, I still want that to be the full grasp of that photo. And I also believe weddings and couples together and whatnot is such a happy occasion. I don't want to take it down and have it super dark or have you look like a really moody photo. So I wouldn't say my style is necessarily moody, as I know some photographers are, and that's their style. That's cool. But mine's definitely more light and joyful, and I want my whole brand to be behind that editing style. So I do appreciate that question, Ben, and I'm just very careful on having my presets and whatnot to reflect the brightness of each photo.
It's funny, your own personal style seems to come through how you're actually through your actual work. You know, you say they're light and fun, and that really sums up, I think, elements of your personality too. So that's interesting how your work has taken on a reflection of who you are. Interesting to note.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think you're right on that one.
And then one more question here, Esther. Can you maybe speak to how you created your own career? So, you know, did you ever go to post-secondary school? You said you kind of looked at a few different options, but can you speak to, you know, does someone need a 4-year degree to start a business? Do you need a business degree? Or, you know, what resources are there to learn? Can you maybe take a crack at that for us?
Yeah, Dave, I'd love to take a crack at that, and I will tell you why. I actually get asked this all the time of, oh, where you didn't do schooling, so what's your plan there? Or when are you planning on doing your degree? So I do get asked this a lot, and to be honest, I used to get offended by that question, and now I think I've learned through being asked this enough and just growing my confidence as well to answer respectfully still and say, you know what, no, I didn't take that route of getting a 4-year business degree in order to start up this company. But one thing I think you do need to have is you need to have drive. Absolutely. You need to have, you need to get your butt in gear if you want to be running a business. That's just as matter of fact as I can put it is, no, I'm not saying you necessarily need a business degree, but you need to have that drive behind you of this is something I'm going to do, and I'm going to spend hours and hours and hours researching it and pouring your heart into it, and just really having that that fire of go after it and get it. So I think that's the biggest part that I would say. On a side note though, photography, as you probably know, Dave, is slower season is typically in kind of the winter months and early spring months. So I do work for the school district as a special ed assistant, as you know, for the school months, so September to June. So that again is kind of an ideal situation for me because I like to have my weeks really packed full. So typically in a week, I'll be working 60 to 70 hours during the busy season of photography, and working for the school district allows me to be able to still be creative on the photography side, but during the slow months, I'm able to have a stable job as well, and then put in the editing and blogging hours once school's out at 3. So that's been awesome as well.
Yeah, I feel like you really need that inner drive, you know, that why pushing you to put in those hours. 60 to 70 hours, that's impressive. I mean, you can probably speak to that, but I think when you're doing what you love, it's hard to even count the hours on the clock because it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, no, I can definitely speak to that, and especially during this quarantine time. I know a lot of people have been kind of joking about lots of free time and whatnot, and to be honest, yes, it's been awesome to be home, but as free time goes, I would say it more just feels like, yeah, I'm still in routine of things of what summers look like for me. So that's kind of just shifted to a little bit earlier, but that's been awesome for me, to be honest, because over the past 8 months, I've been working on launching a website, a new website. and building that. So that was able to, all that time, I was able to like stay up super late, wake up early, and just spend my days finalizing and tweaking that website to make sure it's absolutely perfect before final launch. So
didn't you just launch that today, I saw, or this week?
Yesterday was official launch day on Instagram,
Okay.
and then today I shared it on Facebook for everyone to check out. And I love having feedback on that because, to be honest, I started it 8 months ago and would chip away at it and keep putting hours in. And then these past 8-9 days, I put like every minute into it, felt like, with taking a couple breaks to stand up and go for a walk and whatnot. But that was my A priority for the past 8 or 9 days.
And did you build that yourself, or did you hire someone out for that? How did that look?
Yeah, so that was me building that. So thankfully, the platform that I use to deliver my galleries is through a brand called Pixie Set. So on Pixie Set now, they've offered this about a year ago, I would say, an upgrade for my membership to offer different website platforms. So I was able to choose which template, which design I wanted, and then I could go ahead and just build that website. So I was able to gather my all-time favorite photos through the past 4 years and put them into that website, and also just speak a little bit about my brand. So
yeah, Pixie Set is smart to have the gallery talk to the website and offer that to a photographer. That's a nice segue for sure.
Definitely.
That's great. So Esther, maybe tell us how if someone is you mentioned you do a lot of couple photo shoots. So say someone is engaged or dating or thinking of a wedding or a proposal photo shoot or just even a couple photo shoot. What is like the best way to get in touch with you? I'm sure people are thinking, one, how much is it going to cost? And two, give us a little more detail. So what's the best way to get in touch with you if someone was just wanting to make an inquiry?
Yeah, so that's a great question, actually. And my best advice for getting in touch with me so that I have the most info on you and what exactly you're looking for, and that way I can tailor your exact needs. So the best way to get in touch with me is I'd love for you to go to my website, www.esthermoermanphoto.ca, super simple. And then if you go ahead and click on the contact part, I've listed a forum there that you can go through, check off exactly what session you're looking for, tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit about who your honey is and what you're looking for. And then in the message box is a space for you to tell me exactly what you're looking for, and give me all the details that I need in order for myself to get you a detailed quote back.
I'm curious, Esther, this is just the business side of me, but
Sure.
Do you have stats on your clients who typically reach out to you, or do they tend to be guys or are they girls? Like I know for us with window cleaning, 70% of our clientele is female. Do you find any stats on that, or is it all across the board?
No, it's not across the board. For me, I'd say it's actually about 90%. I've gone through the numbers before. 90% women who reach out to me, and that other 10% is males that have reached out to me strictly for proposal shoots. That's the only inquiries that I've had when it comes to guys as proposal shoots. I guess in order for inquiring for a couple shoot, I should specify. I have had males reach out for headshots as well. So
okay, why do you think men are shy of the camera, or do you find photos as just more of a female thing, or what's the what gives there?
What it is, to be honest, Dave, is the sentimental factor behind photos and those special memories. I think is just a woman more longs for that and wants that those special memories a lot more than a guy does. It's actually quite rare for me to have a guy who is as stoked about the photos as girls. I think you're probably one of the exceptions.
Probably be me, yeah.
To photos, and honestly, it's probably about one in about 30 guys that are absolutely pumped on photos. But again, it's just women are more into photos, and especially if you can capture that look between her and her boyfriend or her fiance or her husband, it really gets the girl excited. So yeah.
I bet though when the guy has the photo album delivered, I bet he's like pretty stoked. What
Yeah,
would you
I
say
think
with that?
I would definitely say so. Typically, the guys are more like surprised at how nice they turned out, whereas in the moment, I've had a lot of guys that are just kind of like dragging their heels of like, this is kind of a weird prompt that she's asking me to do or whatnot, and that's where I come in and say, you know what, like I gotta have 100% trust here, and I guarantee you will love them in the end. And I agree. Like I am asking you to do some ridiculous prompts sometimes, but those are the typically turn out to be the best photos in my experience. So
Yeah, I find photos are just such a major thing. I think they get overlooked. You know, I look at our place, we've moved in, we've decorated it, we've got wedding photos, and I see our photos multiple times a day, and I'm just, you know, so thankful to have those. And I think they bring out a lot of joy in life, and life is, you know, the time you can spend with loved ones. And so, you know, you don't want to turn 80, 90 years old and you know, die without having some great memories created and framed that you can look at every day. So I think what you do is an excellent service. I think it'll continue to grow, particularly, you know, the business side will continue to grow as we move onward in the digital age. Content is king, very important, and I think every small business owner needs a good photographer that they partner with.
no, yeah, I really appreciate the support, Dave, and I think you're right that that photos are key, and I can speak to that as much as anyone that I love taking them. But to be honest, I love being modeled as well, and just having photos taken of myself. So I'm looking for every excuse to get fresh headshots. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think
No.
everyone loves photos of themselves in particular.
Yeah, no, that's great, Esther. It's been amazing to see you build this, you know, over the last 4 years. And you know, we always joke with our guys. We look for people who have their PhD. We say your PhD is poor, hungry, and determined. And so I think you are a great walking example of that. That you education is great, but also knowing education is, you know, don't let the classroom get in the way of your education. So go learn from mentors as you have, go learn online on Google, on YouTube, from other business owners. There's a whole ocean of learning out there. And I think a university or college classroom is just one avenue of that. Especially for us entrepreneurs, I think you need to get scrappy and go meet people to really learn how to market, to learn your skill and your craft, and you can kind of grow from there.
No, definitely. Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're totally right.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on before we close up and let everyone get on with their day here?
You know what? I think you did an excellent job conducting that interview, and I appreciate all the questions and also the positive feedback that you were able to give to me. So I think we pretty much covered everything that I was looking for. One quick thing though, Dave, is I'm just curious. I'm asking a lot of small business owners this one question is, how would you define success?
How would you define success? Wow, I'm getting flipped around on my own interview. It's a great question. We do have one more comment. Colin is saying, hey guys. So Colin, want to say hi to you, and thanks to everyone else who chimed in on this as we close up. How would I define success?
Yeah.
It's a loaded question, but I would say if you can go through your day and put your head on the pillow and you're tired and you feel that you've made the world a better place, and you've also done that in a way keeping your integrity. I think that's probably one aspect of success, I would say. I think success comes in many forms and fashion, and it's not just material success. I am, Christian and believe there's a spiritual realm beyond our physical world, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I think that's probably how I would sum it up now to close up the interviews. If you can put your mark on the world, plant your flag, and make it a better place, and be a shining light for others in how you conduct yourself with a very high level of integrity. And
awesome.
That's what I would
Dave,
say.
I really like that answer, and I do look forward to the next
time
that I'm able to shoot you.
Yeah, that's great. You got your cameras out right there. It looks like you're heading to a session.
Yeah.
That's great.
I keep them handy, and these are my biggest tools here. Got to have two just in case on those big days if one of them starts giving you a headache. So
it's good to. I know you made an investment in some good equipment this year, so I think that goes a long way.
Oh, it definitely does, and I'm really happy with all the gear that I've sunk money into. So
that's great. Colin is full of. He says great response. Appreciate it, Colin, and welcome to Josh Caterberg. We got a few more viewers coming in. But we're gonna close up here. We're at our 40-minute mark. So Esther, I thank you for your time and your responses, and I wish you nothing but continued success as you grow your brand. And for those of you out there listening, reach out to Esther. She's great to work with, and she's local and does great work, and will put a smile on your face with her high-quality photos.
Thank you so much, Dave. And you know what? Could I give you an air handshake for having
me on the show?
Let's
line that up. Perfect.
There we go. Very good. Thank you
Perfect.
for having me, Dave.
Thanks, Esther.
Have a great rest of your day, okay?
Yeah, you as well. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Especially Colin. Thank you, Colin.
Especially Colin. See you guys.
See ya.